Hello, I'm Brandon, your friendly neighborhood realtor. I spent some time today thinking about a lot of the questions that myself and my colleagues hear on a regular basis from our new customers. And looking at the trends, I decided to take some time between appointments today to create this video as a kind of roadmap to the home buying process. I hope that if you've decided that this is the right time to buy a home, that you'll find this enjoyable as a way to learn about the home buying process. Of course, if you have questions when you're done with the video or you want to go start looking at houses, feel free to contact me and I will be happy to help. My phone number is 612-314-9693, and you can go ahead and call or text me anytime. My phone number and a link to my app are going to be posted down in the description below as well, so you'll be able to find it there. So today's topic, you want to buy a home, now what? I'm going to describe the process in two phases, the pre-offer phase and the post-offer phase. It's worth noting now, there's no hard and fast order of the steps that you're going to take early in the pre-offer phase. So don't be surprised if you end up looking at homes first before you lock in a budget, or you get pre-approved before you meet with an agent for the first time. None of that matters in the pre-offer step, or in the pre-offer phase. A good first step in the pre-offer phase is to connect with an agent like me who can provide you with the support and assistance that you're going to need along the way. Most of the sellers that you're going to encounter are going to be represented by an agent, so it's a good idea to have somebody in your corner as well. Many agents, when you first meet with them, are going to want to work with you only if you signed a representation contract with you. So be prepared for agents that you meet with to bring paperwork that they'll want you to sign the first time you meet. And remember, the number one rule of signing anything is never sign it unless you're comfortable with the terms and you understand the contract. Typically, the first contract they're going to present to you is a contract that gives them the exclusive right to represent you in real estate transactions for a certain period of time. I do things a little bit different in that you will not sign a representation contract with me until you find a house that you'd like to buy. That way, if at any time you feel like I'm not the right agent for you, or if you feel I'm not doing my job well enough, you can just walk away. You can find somebody who's a better fit for you and your needs and keep on with the process. You won't have to file cancellation paperwork with me or anything like that. So once you have an agent that you want to work with, the next thing you want to do is determine what your budget's going to be. If you're paying with cash, this part's pretty simple. You just look at your bank account and say how much cash you want to spend on your new home. But if you are like most home buyers, financing is going to come into play and you're going to determine a budget based on financing. There's a couple of ways you can do this, and some are better than others. For example, there's calculators available on the interwebs that'll give you an idea of what you can afford. Those will give you budgets based on several variables, like how much you can borrow to keep your monthly payments near a target amount, or what the maximum limit you can borrow is based on your monthly income and expenses. And those are good starting points, but the best way to get the most accurate budget, you'll want to talk to an expert like a loan officer. I highly recommend Brian. We work with him on our team, and I've worked with him on many transactions. He does a fantastic job not only getting people pre-approved, but also educating people on the various type of loans available. It's not as simple as just, I need a mortgage. There's 1,000 different mortgage products available. The advantage of getting pre-approved by a lender early on in the pre-offer phase is once it's done, and you're going to need a pre-approval letter when you find the home that you want to write an offer on. So if you get the pre-approval done early, you get it out of the way and you don't have to worry about it again. There's nothing worse than missing out on a dream home that you find because you had to wait an extra day for a pre-approval letter and somebody else's offer came in ready to go. Also, in the pre-offer phase, you'll want to figure out what you want and where you want it. What do you want? Do you want a single family home? Do you want a condo, a townhouse? I can't answer these questions for you. No agent can. You know better than anybody what you need, better than I ever could. But what we can give you are some points to consider while you're deciding. First is size. How many bedrooms do you need? How many common rooms? Do you need just a living room? Do you need a living room and a family room? Do you need a formal dining room and a kitchen in-kitchen dining? Do you need a garage? Do you need a big backyard for an English Mastiff? Do you need acres for all your hobbies? Next is the property type. If you've got that English Mastiff, you'll probably need to stick to single-family homes to avoid breed restrictions that you'd run into with a condo. If you don't like having to deal with certain types of home maintenance, then you might prefer to look at townhomes, where a neighborhood association will be responsible for certain upkeep and maintenance things. Common examples: lawn mowing, snow removal. A lot of times the associations in townhomes will take care of stuff like that, so you don't have to. Next, the most important factor in real estate: location, location, location. Again, I can't answer this for you, but what you'll want to consider is how close or far you want to be to places like work, school, recreational activities that you like, church, and other family members. Maybe you want to be real close, maybe you want to be really far. I don't know, but you do. So once you've narrowed down what you want and where you need it to be, it's time to start shopping. This is the fun part. And there's a lot of options for this. And if you're watching this video, I'm sure you probably have a few home search apps on your phone already. And there's a problem in most of the commercial home search apps that you'll see on the TV networks are going to advertise how great they are because, oh, we show you more listings than the other guys. The problem is when you find one on find a property on some of those apps that look active, there's actually a pretty good chance that when you ask me to take you to see it in person, it's already off the market. Me and my colleagues see this on an almost daily basis because most apps out there, the data that they have is at least 3 or 4 days old. Sometimes we've seen houses listed as actively available that actually sold months ago. And there is a better way, a few actually. First, your agent can set up a search for you directly on MLS or the multiple listings service. That's the database where all active listings for properties are advertised for sale, and that's where the list is maintained. It's the only source for live information on active listings. The search that your agent can set up for you will send you an email with all the listings that meet whatever criteria you set: bedrooms, bathrooms, price point, city, and it'll send you an update whenever there's a change to the results. And also, option 2, you can download my app through the link down here in the description. It's the only smartphone home search app that pulls data straight from MLS. And it's got some really cool features that help you find the right home, like a search by drive time feature. So you can plug in work and say, I want to be 30 minutes from work, and it'll show you stuff that's there. The app also connects you directly to me, so if you do see a property you like, you can message me right through the app, and I can set up a private showing for you so you can see it for yourself. Now, the goal at this point of the pre-offer phase would be to find the one, the home that's right for you. And once you found it, write an offer to buy it, and that offer is presented to the seller in the form of a purchase agreement. And there's a few things to talk about here because now it's time to make some decisions. Once you found your dream home, when you want to write an offer, you're actually presenting a contract to the seller that's presenting terms to purchase their home. Now, the biggest term is obviously the price, and the first term sellers will look at. But there's other terms that are going to impact how the sellers are going to feel about your offer. The big 3 are seller contributions to closing costs, contingencies, and closing date. Seller contributions to closing costs are pretty self-explanatory. It's how much of the purchase price you are asking the seller to credit back to you at the closing table to cover some of the costs that you'll need to pay. It's a very common thing for buyers to ask for this, and it's very common for sellers to agree to it. But whatever you ask for here is essentially a direct reduction of your offer price, which is important to keep in mind in highly competitive market situations. Next is contingencies. Contingencies are clauses in the contract that allow you to cancel the contract and walk away from the deal once the seller's accepted it. Most common example here is the inspection contingency, which allows you, the buyer, to have a third-party inspection conducted on the home after the seller has accepted your offer. Usually you have around 7 to 10 days to get it done. If during this period you, the buyer, learn of an issue with the property that you find unacceptable, you can either negotiate with the seller to find terms to fix it that you accept, like a repair or a price reduction, or you can walk away, no questions asked. I actually have a great example of this in action. A few months ago, I had a client who who canceled her purchase agreement. because the inspector identified some potentially dangerous electrical work that looked to be the handiwork of an inexperienced do-it-yourselfer. They didn't want to buy the home after that, so they canceled the contract. There are other contingencies that might come into play in your purchase agreement, but those are best addressed case by case with your agent. The key thing to remember is that sellers are going to prefer fewer and shorter contingencies wherever possible. That's because while you, the buyer, can rest easy during the contingency period knowing that the seller is obligated and committed to you and following the signed contract, the seller doesn't have that same commitment from you until all those contingencies are removed. Okay? Next is the closing date. The closing date is when you actually complete the sale. The seller gets their money, you get the keys, and the deal's done. Financing plays a role in how quickly you'll be able to close, which is another reason to get your financing pre-approved and sorted out earlier in the process. Closing date is typically 30 to 45 days from the day you write your offer with typical financing. If you're fully pre-approved and underwritten before you write your offer, you could close in as little as 15 to 20 days. Cash offers, they can close in as little as a week. Obviously, a seller will typically prefer a shorter closing period with all the other terms being the same, because that's when they get their money. So quick recap. So far, we have met our agent, we've secured our financing, we've determined our budget, we've found our dream home, written an offer, and the seller accepted it. Now we're in the home stretch. Once your offer is accepted, your purchase now goes into the closing period. And you'll now need to submit payment of earnest money to formalize the contract, and this confuses a lot of people. Earnest money, or earnest money, serves to meet antiquated legal requirements regarding the execution of contracts. If you want a better explanation, give me a call on the phone. I can talk to you for a few hours about how goofy our legal system has become with precedent stacked on top of precedent since like the late 1700s. But the important thing to know for this is earnest money does not go directly to the seller when you provide it. It's held in an escrow account until closing day. They basically take and put a pin in it, and then on closing day, it gets credited directly to your closing costs towards your down payment. You can think of it as a portion of your down payment that you have to pay right away. Early in the closing period, you'll take care of your inspection. You'll hire any inspector you like. You can inspect the property yourself. You can have a family member inspect the property for you. But I always recommend hiring a professional, as they're experienced in looking for potential issues and hazards since they look at houses every day of the week. Your agent can usually recommend a trustworthy inspector if you don't want to seek out your own, but it's absolutely worth the expense to have an expert inspect your home to look for potential issues and give you peace of mind if nothing else. It's the best $300 you can spend during the closing period. For the remainder of the closing period, a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes between your agent, your lender, and a title company. Your lender is going to arrange for any appraisals that the bank's going to require on the property, and the lender may reach out to you to get updated documents for signatures and finalize your loan approval. Now, the title company is going to do a couple of things. Most importantly, they're going to investigate the legal history of the home, all the way back to the beginning of time, which in Minnesota is 1858, the year Minnesota became a state. The title investigation is going to do two things. First, it's going to make sure that the person selling the home actually has the legal right to do so, which surprisingly is sometimes not the case. Second, they identify if there are other individuals who may have some claim of rights to the property. Your agent during all this is going to be busy ensuring that everything marches along smartly on schedule to get you to closing day without any delays or surprises. And then finally, you arrive at closing day. Super exciting. Your agent is going to meet you at the home one last time for a final walkthrough. This gives you a chance to ensure that the home is in the same condition it was in when you wrote your offer, and that any repairs the seller committed to have been done and completed to your satisfaction. Once you're done with your final walkthrough, you're going to go to the location of the closing. Typically present is going to be you, your agent, the seller, and their agents, and a representative from each of the title companies, yours and the seller's. Here you're going to spend about 20 minutes reviewing and signing paperwork, and you'll wait about another 30 minutes for photocopies to be made, another 10 minutes for wire transfers to be sent, and at the end of the hour, typically it takes about an hour start to finish, you're going to get handed a set of keys to your new home, and the home buying process will be complete. I hope that if you're getting ready to start your home buying process, that some of this information that I've just gone over has been helpful. I know it's a really high level view, and it can be an intimidating process. My goal was to provide sort of a roadmap to help get from search to close. And I plan to make some other videos that go into more detail on the different steps along the way. Here I tried to give a little bit of detail without getting too deep into the weeds. I could talk for hours just about contingencies and closing dates, but that's not for this video. If there's something that you want to see covered in more detail, what video you want to see next, if you think there's something I missed, let me know down in the comments, or better yet, give me a call, shoot me a text message. Again, my number is 612-314-9693. I'm always happy to talk with people one-on-one and go into more detail on whatever questions that you have. If you're local, I'll even be happy to treat you to a cup of coffee or tea, and we can sit and chat face-to-face. Once again, look down in the comments for the download link to my app. You can start searching for homes. You can even use that to keep track of what's been going on in your area. You can see what houses have been selling for. Again, if you have any questions, I'll talk to you soon, but thanks for watching. Have a great day.